ceremony honored a Longhorn who was killed last semester.
A Texas church memorializes its mass shooting victims.
And UT students visit the new Target on campus.
You're watching KVR News, your leader for live, local UT coverage.
Broadcasting live from the Texas Student Television Studios at the University of Texas. You're watching KVR News at 9, Austin's leader for live, local UT coverage. Your news starts right now.
Good evening and welcome to KVR News for Monday, November 13th. I'm David Rubin.
And I'm Mercedes Gonzalez. Thank you for joining us.
Friday marked the 6-month anniversary of the death of UT freshman Harrison Brown. The university hosted a flag lowering that morning. President Fenves, Chancellor McRaven, and Harrison's brother John all spoke at the service, while the UT a cappella group Ransom Notes ended the service. The university also dedicated a tree at the corner of 21st and Speedway to honor the memory of Harrison. The dedication of the tree included a speech from various students and faculty, as well as another performance by the Ransom Notes. The tree is a perfect place for students to remember and reflect on the life of Harrison Brown.
The site of the Sutherland Springs mass shooting will now be turned into a memorial to the victims. A week after the fatal shooting that killed more than a dozen people, First Baptist Church opened its doors to the public. The church's rapid transformation required a 30-person construction team and 72 hours to remove the damaged equipment. Church officials say that the decision to tear down the current building and rebuild it as a new site for a memorial is still up for debate. Mark Collins, the church associate pastor, said they opened it for the public because they want America to grieve with them based on the love America has expressed to them.
This past Saturday was like no other Veterans Day here in Austin. Bonnie Chu takes us to a ceremony that honored many World War II veterans with something more than just speeches or salutes.
In honor of Veterans Day, hundreds of people from surrounding cities gathered at the state capitol to thank former and current members of the U.S. military. While all types of veterans are commemorated this day, World War II veterans specifically were in the spotlight.
On this day, 11 World War II veterans received the French Legion of Honor for their great achievements in the service of France. Since its creation, this award remained the highest and most prestigious decoration in France in recognition of merit or bravery.
So my grandpa is 93 years old, and there were all of his 7 children here today, 18 grandchildren, 21 great-grandchildren that got to see him receive this medal. It was very moving. It was inspiring to see all the veterans out here today and all the service and sacrifice that they gave.
But all the other veterans were also commemorated through many different types of memorial services, including speeches, gun salutes, wreath laying, and singing.
Well, I was in the military for 25 years, and I got drafted in 1970. But luck was with me.
I want to thank everyone in the military, as well as civilians, as well as all those who serve in the military, and all those veterans, and all like the Major General Ayala just got through saying that, you know, it's a privilege to know all these people.
Bonnie Chu, KVR News.
The wait is finally over. Target opened a new store at Dolby 21 Student Spaces on Guadalupe Street. The opening was later than expected after experiencing some delays during the summer. Students will be able to shop there for clothes, fresh groceries and produce, as well as dorm or apartment essentials and much more. This store also has a Starbucks, CVS Pharmacy, Target Mobile, and an order pickup area located inside. This is Target's first small format store in Texas that is built to meet college students' needs. To celebrate being part of the Longhorn community, Target will give $6,000 in grants to 3 local nonprofits, including the Blayton Museum, Caritas Austin, and Out South. The store held a grand opening on Sunday. The first 1,000 guests received a free reusable bag.
Looking to buy a fidget spinner? Target is pulling 2 brands of fidget spinners from its shelves after a report found that they contain lead levels exceeding the federal regulations for children's toys. The report was released Thursday by the public advocacy group USPIRG. The Fidget Wild premium spinners contain lead levels of 520 parts per million to up to 33,000 parts per million. The U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission prohibits children's products from exceeding a total lead content level of 100 parts per million. The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention says that children exposed to lead have an increased risk for brain and nervous system damage, as well as slow growth and development. Target began removing the fidget spinners on Friday.
A UT student crashed into Pokeeye Bowl on a drag Thursday morning. Two UTPD officers were on patrol in the area when they heard a sound of tires squealing and then a loud crash at the intersection of Guadalupe and 29th Street. The student had minor injuries, but officers began to suspect she was under the influence when she spoke to them. When confronted by police, she said, quote, "I'm a UT student, you can't arrest me," end quote. The student was put in an isolation cell at Travis County Central Booking. Pokeeye Bowl's owner, Tu-Wan Nguyen, believes the damage will take several weeks to repair.
Mayor Steve Adler announced on Thursday that Confederate soldiers are not U.S. veterans. His statement has since sparked a lot of debate on social media. He said Veterans Day is meant to honor United States veterans, and Confederate veterans are not United States veterans. Adler and his team said that they researched the status of Confederate soldiers before making his conclusion. Adler specifically cited documents sent to him by the Congressional Research Service, a Library of Congress agency that provides historical context and precedents to lawmakers. The record states, quote, "If your only service was in the Confederate Army or Navy, you are not considered a veteran under federal law."
City officials and the Austin Police Department are nearing the end of a historical law negotiation regarding APD contracts. Social activists in the Travis County Democratic Party believe that the current contract does not ensure enough accountability and transparency from police officers. They hope to change certain aspects, such as reducing the time allowed for investigating police misconduct and increasing the amount of records available to the public. Councilmember Greg Caesar said, quote, "I stand alongside community leaders who are calling for a police department that serves everyone equally. I won't be able to vote for our police contract unless we see significant improvements to transparency and accountability," end quote. Conversely, the president of the Austin Police Association, Ken Cassidy, contends that APD incorporates more citizen oversight than any police department. The negotiations have been ongoing since April and are expected to come to a conclusion in December. We'll keep you updated on this story here at KVR News.
The Sigma Alpha Epsilon fraternity chapter at UT has been suspended after the national organization received reports of hazing. The suspension will last until the current membership has graduated or for at least 4 years, depending on whichever comes first. This happens in the wake of a slew of hazing incidents from fraternities across the nation, including the death of LSU pledge Maxwell Groover, who died as a result of hazing earlier in September, and Andrew Covey from Florida State University, who died last week after a party at his fraternity. We went to the streets to see how people are responding to these incidents.
I think that the problem is hard to identify primarily because it's only dependent on what's found out.
So when you're investigating these things and you're trying to change the way like hazing is, or trying to investigate hazing, you could potentially change the whole Greek Life organization itself.
I think the problem is that you don't see it, and so it's something as a regular student I'm not aware of, but I'm glad that our university is taking the precautions to be able to stop it.
It is in part because of masculinity. It's being able to exert your power over someone else and make them feel a particular way.
The fraternities pretty much get to do what they want, when they want, and I've never heard of an incident like this where they've stopped them, but I'm glad they have.
If we can address that issue of like masculine control, at least in a more, I guess, traditional sense, then we should be able to maybe possibly see a change, but that's going to take a long time.
In 1 year since President Donald Trump defeated Hillary Clinton in the election for 45th President of the United States of America, and America are still literally screaming. The 1 year anniversary of the 2016 presidential election had people across the country screaming at the sky. This is the viral video from Inauguration Day that inspired these movements. Crowds of Trump opposition gathered in cities such as New York, Boston, and even right here in Austin. The event began on social media and word got around quickly. The rain and chilly weather convinced some to not attend, but the few that did quickly saw their fun disrupted by counter-protesters who discouraged the crowd from sticking around.
I was pretty much just coming out here to come out and maybe discuss with people. Primarily wanted to get footage of them helplessly screaming at the sky. Didn't really have any plans to disrupt it.
The event organizer, Kim Roche, was going to appear on camera to speak with KVR News, but because of the event disruption, she was only able to provide a statement. She says this was simply meant to be a work of performance art and should have been taken. tongue-in-cheek. Congress is in the middle of debating a tax overhaul, and the plan proposed by House Republicans could affect college students. The bill released last week could count tuition waivers as income and make them subject to taxes, possibly reducing the money that student employees put in their pockets. Under current law, researchers and graduate student employees, such as teaching assistants, may receive a break on tuition that is exemption from taxes. UT professor Klaus O. Wilke explains the change could be a major incentive for people wanting to go to graduate school. He warns that the House bill could push American students to pursue graduate degrees out of the country. The House must still reconcile their tax bill with the Senate's bill. They plan to vote on their version this week. U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions is being sued by a 12-year-old girl advocating for the legalization of medical marijuana. Alexis Portel, a 12-year-old girl suffering from severe epilepsy, could not find relief from her seizures until she used a form of medical marijuana while living in Colorado. After moving to Texas, she no longer had access. Portel is suing Sessions, the Department of Justice, and the Drug Enforcement Agency. This suit states that the intention is to benefit millions of Americans who require cannabis for treatment but cannot safely obtain it. There are currently 29 states that legally allow the use of medical marijuana. Wow, that's pretty interesting.
It was, and there is going to be more news coming up next. We'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Have a news tip or story idea? Call the KVR News tip line, 475-8181.
This past Friday, police arrested a woman for bringing a gun to a children's learning center. The woman is said to be Lindsay Holman. According to the Austin Police Department, Holman entered the daycare center with her child and offered to give each person a gun shell. A father witnessed all of this unfold and immediately alerted authorities about the incident. APD arrived at the scene and found her in the car with a pink Remington shotgun. Holman was charged with a second-degree felony, aggravated assault, and will be held on a $25,000 bond.
Hazelnut Spread Company announced that they changed its recipe. The company confirmed the rumors through Twitter, saying that the recipe underwent what they call a fine-tuning. The changes are mainly in the spread's milk and sugar content. According to the Hamburg Consumer Protection Center, the new recipe contains 8.7% of powdered skim milk, as opposed to the original 7.5%. The company also chose to lower the amount of sugar. Many consumers pointed out the lighter color of the new Nutella, and some fans called the company's move underhanded and dreadful.
Uber plans to take the rideshare company to the next level, the Air. Uber announced that they plan to create a flying taxi called Uber Air in the hopes of provide relief for congested roads. The company will partner with NASA and the FAA to create the machine. The vehicle must be certified and pilots must be trained. The company hopes to start demonstrating flights by 2018 and start flying in Los Angeles by 2020. Uber's chief product officer claims that flights will cost about as much as Uber X ride on the ground.
And we might just be flying those future cars in a future city. A group associated with the Bill Gates investment company is investing $80 million in the development of a futuristic community in Arizona. The community will be designed around high-speed networks, data centers, and new manufacturing technologies. Belmont Partners, the Arizona-based real investment group that is leading the project, said it will be similar in size to Tempe, Arizona, which has a population of 182,000.
The largest bond package in Central Texas history was passed on Tuesday. 72% of voters approved the $1 billion bond for Austin Independent School District, which will be used to construct new campuses while rebuilding and modernizing others. Austin citizens can expect to see an increase in property values, but tax rates will not rise because of the bond. Following the tragic events of the Sutherland Spring church shootings, H-E-B and Central Market stores across Texas started a donation campaign. Customers can donate any amount from $1 to $100 at the register. In addition to customer donations, H-E-B announced that they will also be donating $150,000 of their own money. All of the proceedings will go directly to the victims and their families. HEB's Vice President of Public Affairs, Diversity, and Environmental Affairs, Wen O'Haran, said HEB is committed to assisting those during these horrific events. They also say their hearts reach out to those affected.
2 people were killed in a car crash in southeast Austin on Saturday night. The fiery crash happened at 6 p.m. when the Austin Fire Department reported to the scene of the accident. The occupants in the vehicle died at the scene, and their identities are still unknown at this time. Police say the vehicle was traveling westbound on East Riverside Drive when the driver went off the roadway and crashed into a billboard. Police are still investigating if speed played a role in the crash.
At least 5 companies are pulling their advertisement from Fox News Channel prime TV show Hannity last week. The Washington Post published an article that claimed Senator Roy Moore had romantic relationships with 4 teenage girls when he was in his 30s. Shane Hannity asked his viewers to give Senator Moore the benefit of the doubt. Since then, several companies, including Cougar, took to Twitter to announce they will no longer be airing their advertisements during Fox News' highest-rated program. In response, Hannity's fans have been breaking their Krug coffee makers and posting the videos on social media along with the hashtag #BoycottKug. Other companies removing their ads include Realtor.com 23, Emil Krug, and Nature's Bounty. Back in August, Cadillac and E-Trade pulled their advertisements because of comments that Hannity made regarding the white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia.
Yesterday, a 7.3 magnitude earthquake hit a town close to the Iraq and Iran border. At least 452 people were killed and thousands are reportedly injured. These shocks were felt in Pakistan, Kuwait, Lebanon, and Turkey. Fortunately, however, there are no current reports of deaths or injuries. Well, it's been hot lately after being very cool last week, and it just keeps getting warmer.
Oh, I hope it cools down by the time Thanksgiving comes around.
Well, at this rate, you may actually be able to cook your turkey by leaving it outside. But we're going to find out more about the weather. Let's go to Daniela in the Weather Center.
This week won't start off with a cold front like last week. Stay tuned to see how this week will warm up.
Have a news tip or story idea? Call the KVR News tip line, 475-8181.
Welcome back to KVR News. I don't know about you, but today the weather felt so great, and tonight won't be an exception. The low will be 61. Don't worry, Longhorns. Tuesday will be partly sunny with a high of 77 and a low of 62. Wednesday we will still be in the 70s with a high of 78 and patchy fog in the morning. So make sure to have your fog lights on if you are driving to campus in the morning. The low for the night will be 65. Be on the watch. Thursday there will be a 20% chance of showers and a low of 66 degrees. Friday will be a great day to go out and explore before the cold weather is here to stay. There will be highs in the 80s, but have your coat ready in the night because the temperature drops down to 58. On Saturday and Sunday, be prepared for highs near the 70s and lows in the 40s. That's all for me, and I hope you'll have a wonderful Thanksgiving break, Longhorns. Don't forget to eat all that turkey. Live from the Weather Center, Daniela Villegas.
All right, thank you, Daniela, and we will be right back with sports.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
And now Emily Stone is here with sports.
It was an exciting week in Texas sports. Football hosted the Kansas Jayhawks, handing them a 42-27 loss. Texas football wasn't the only team that was earning a win. Men's basketball opened their season with a bang, defeating Northwestern State 105-51. College Press Box's Thomas Fitch was at the Irwin Center with the action.
Mo Bamba and the Texas Longhorns basketball team kicked off the season at home on Friday night against Northwestern State, and they started off fast.
We're coming out and our message is we have something to prove. Last year wasn't the greatest year for us, and I'm saying us because I was a part of that too.
Prove something they did. The Horns put up 62 points in the first half, led by Andrew Jones's 12.
It felt great, you know. That's the style of play we've been wanting to play for, and we've been building to play for. And, you know, it showed tonight, and there's only more to come.
It was certainly a dunk fest for Texas, who also did a good job of spreading the ball around. 7 Longhorns finished in double figures.
depth can be a really good advantage for us. It could be a positive if we have some guys that are willing to play roles and come in the game and play their butts off in terms of effort, knowing that, you know, we got other guys coming in for them.
Smart is coming off a poor 11-22 record last season. However, his coaching Friday night was praised by Northwestern State coach Mike McConaughey.
The length of Texas today and the athleticism running was in the top 5 that I've ever faced against.
After an exhibition tour in Australia, preseason practice and scrimmages in Austin and Houston, newcomers Mo Bamba and Dylan Oskakowski took the court for the first time tonight at the Frank Irwin Center.
I thought Mo and Dylan as a twosome really just gave us a great spark early with the way that they played, the way they rebounded.
Was this everything you thought it would be tonight?
Everything and more. I was just so happy to get back out there and enjoy the experience. Obviously winning was a big factor in that, but it was good to get back out there.
Not only did the Horns dominate, but they also had fun while doing it.
Like, we all genuinely love and care about each other, and when you get out there, you can see that in our faces and how we kind of conduct out there.
We're having a lot of fun. You want to have fun playing basketball. Obviously, it's fun when you're up by a lot.
The Longhorns will return to the court Tuesday night against New Hampshire at 7 p.m. here in the Frank Irwin Center. From TSTV, I'm Thomas Fitch.
All right, thank you so much, Emily. And we are now going to go over to the entertainment department and find out what's happening in Hollywood. Bria?
Thanks, David. We'll be right back with the latest in your entertainment news.
You're watching KVR News at 9. Your campus, your news.
Welcome back to KVR News. Carrie Underwood is recovering from injuries she sustained from falling down the steps outside of her home on Friday. Underwood was treated for a broken wrist, cuts, and abrasions. Her husband, Mike Fisher, a retired NHL hockey star, traveled to Nashville to be with her. Underwood thanked her fans for their support on Twitter, thanking all of her fans for thoughts and her husband for his love. Underwood's spokesperson sent a statement that she will be missing a benefit concert on Sunday in Nashville for the victims of the mass shooting in Las Vegas and hurricanes in Florida, Texas, Puerto Rico, and the Caribbean. Gal Gadot is making headlines by refusing to sign for the Wonder Woman sequel unless Hollywood producer Brett Ratner is signed out of the project. Allegations of sexual assault claims have surfaced against Ratner. A Hollywood source added that Gadot's decision must be supported by Warner Bros. Since Wonder Woman is about women empowerment. Gadot posted on her Instagram earlier in the month condemning sexual harassment, saying, quote, "I stand by all the courageous women confronting their fears and speaking out," end quote. Warner Bros. Announced that it would be severing ties with Ratner earlier this week. Oscar-winning actress Lupita Nyong'o turned to Instagram this Friday night to criticize European magazine Grazia UK for featuring an altered image of the actress's natural hair. Nyong'o confronted the magazine by saying that she was disappointed that Grazia UK edited and smoothed out her hair to fit what she called, quote, "a more Eurocentric notion of what beautiful hair looks like," end quote. Grazia UK has apologized to Nyong'o. This incident comes shortly after London Evening Standard magazine photoshopped a significant part of Solange Knowles' braided hair in late October. Nyong'o gave a nod to Knowles by including the hashtag DTMH at the end of her post, DTMH meaning "don't touch my hair," a song by Solange that she later used in her protest against the magazine. TLC cut off all ties to the star of Counting On, Derek Dillard, after he tweeted out transphobic comments toward fellow TLC star Jazz Jennings. His tweet reads, "What an oxymoron. A reality show which follows a non-reality transgender is a myth. Gender is not fluid, it is ordained by God." After facing much backlash, Dillard refused to apologize for his words. He furthered his statements by expanding his faith-based argument in depth. The network stated that this past Saturday that Derek's personal statements do not reflect the views of the network. They clarified that Counting On will be discontinued and the former star will no longer be part of the brand. Legendary New York gossip columnist Liz Smith died on Sunday at her home in Manhattan at the age of 94. The Associated Press says Smith died of natural causes. Smith was born in Fort Worth, Texas in 1923 and graduated in 1949 with a degree in journalism from none other than the University of Texas at Austin. While at UT, Smith wrote for the Daily Texan and the Texas Ranger. Smith had a long and successful journalism career and was known for ushering in the era of celebrity journalism in print and television. For more than 25 years, the Smith's column was one of the most widely read in the world. She is survived by several nieces and nephews. We here at KVR News send our condolences to the family of this all-star Longhorn.
Thank you so much, Bria, and that's going to do it for us. Thanks for tuning in.
Make sure to follow us for news updates throughout the week. You can follow us on Twitter at KVR News and like us on Facebook. I'm Mercedes Gonzalez.
And I'm David Rubin. Stay tuned for College Press Box up next on Texas Student Television. Have a great week and a happy Thanksgiving.